There's no other product in Apple's history that perfectly demonstrates the end of an era quite like the iPhone 5. It represented one of the saddest times in technology, being the first iPhone to release after the death of Steve Jobs. But that's not where its story ended. In the years after, it became one of the most iconic and well-used phones in history, so much so that Apple re-released a plastic version of it with the iPhone 5C. It received software support until 2019 with iOS 10.3.4, and many modern apps will still run on it today. This is my experience with the iPhone 5 in 2023. Now, I'll go ahead and say it. This is one of my favourite iPhone designs of all time. The only design I prefer over it is the silver 5S. The aluminium back with glass top and bottom looks really good even today. My slate coloured version has stood the test of time surprisingly well, not having that many scratches on the back or sides. This was the first iPhone to use the lightning connector, which is still used today, and it moved the headphone jack to the bottom unlike its predecessors. It's also powered by the Apple A6 chip with twice the RAM of its predecessor, the iPhone 4S. The battery also lasts really well. When testing, I was able to get through most of a day with no problems. Bear in mind that I couldn't use it with a lot of the battery heavy apps we use nowadays simply due to lack of support. When you start using this iPhone, it's striking how fast it still is. I used to daily drive an iPhone 4S back in 2015 to 16 and it was horrifically slow on iOS 9. Compare that experience to this phone on iOS 10. The animations are smooth and the inbuilt apps open quickly. Unfortunately, the YouTube app doesn't work anymore. You can install it and sign in, but videos never load and you can't search for them. An easy workaround is to just use the website, which works fine. Instagram does work. You can install the latest version and it runs fine. The same is true for Facebook and Messenger. These apps don't even run slowly. They're perfectly usable if you're willing to wait the extra couple of seconds needed. WhatsApp is completely out of the question as the latest update removes support for anything older than iOS 12. Snapchat is a mixed bag. It was one of the slowest apps I tested, but it does work. You can also install the latest version of Pages, Numbers and Keynote off the App Store if you're office focused. In terms of gaming, while some games like Clash of Clans will install, they won't work as they need the latest version to connect to the servers. Jetpack Joyride, an absolute classic, will install just fine, as well as Among Us, Crossy Road, Hill Climb Racing and Polytopia. Overall, the app support is very mixed as half the things seem to work and the other half don't, but the gaming side seems a lot more usable. If you're used to anything newer than an iPhone 6S, the single speaker on this phone will not impress you at all. It lacks bass and can easily be covered up. The display is also tiny compared to any new phone. At 4 inches it was a step up from the iPhone 4S, but that was 11 years ago. Phones have come a long way. This means that most websites can't load properly as they need the bigger space. The keyboard is also annoyingly small because of how small the display is, which makes most keystrokes a challenge. The camera is reasonable considering its age, but realistically it's not good at all nowadays. The quality won't blow anyone away here. So, what makes this iPhone good nowadays? Firstly, the significance. It's one of the most recognisable iPhone designs in history and had a huge impact on the industry. It's also cheap, really cheap. I got this one for just £20 with 32 gigs of storage, which is enough considering the app support. Overall, if you're someone not reliant on social media, who prefers using their computer for most things, this would actually be fine, as things like iMessage still work perfectly and the battery on mine specifically is still good. This would also be ideal for younger children who want a phone. You don't have to worry about social media so much as it's literally impossible to download some of the apps nowadays, which is a great and cheap alternative to a newer iPhone or iPod with parental controls. To be honest, I bought mine because of what it was, an iconic representation of a past that is sadly now out of reach. The world has changed a lot since 2012, so sometimes it's nice to pick up one of these and remember the good times where we didn't have to worry as much. If you had any iPhone around that time, this will definitely spark those good memories.